in your journey to me because you had all decided to come back together, but no one else knew. It just felt like this very private moment. Can you take us back to what it was like in that creative bubble after not having worked together for so long? Danny, the look on your face tells me there's some stories here.
Oh man, for me it was also like I hadn't talked to a lot of the guys in years, so we were just we were there together, and then those clips, you know, it's kind of getting to know each other again.
With your Bite Me t-shirt on.
But I just, you know, a couple of years been divorced, so went through, you know, some tough times and stuff. So it was two things. It was a little awkward trying to, you know, get to know guys again, but then also it was like a saving grace for me to, you know, us to be back together. I had come out of some, you know, hard times, and I was just looking forward to being, you know, together and recording, because that's all it was Donnie played me one song, click, click, click. That was it. There was no record company, no manager, no nothing, no team of people. It was Donnie playing me a song, and then, yeah, let's do it. Let's get in the studio.
So it was that quick. He played the song and you were like, yes, I'm back.
Yes. I mean,
it was Donnie quick. There was a 7-month period in between, let's do this, and being in the studio. Sorry, but
Donnie Quick is better than Donnie Soon. Let's just clear that up. Whole different thing. It actually gets results, Donnie Quick. Just for me, two things. There's the emotion of being back together, but there's preceding it. There was a long process, and a lot of people don't know about it because it did seem like it's click, 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 and here we go. But there were conversations, I'd say a year, maybe even a little bit more. Joey and I stayed in touch with different guys in the band differently over time. Danny and I talked all the time. Jordan and I once in a blue moon. John never called, never wrote. I missed you so bad. Sorry. It's okay. But Joey and I stayed in touch a lot too, and I remember, I don't know if you remember, because we don't talk about it a lot, but we would have lunch or breakfast sometime at, I think it was at 4 and 20 in Studio City. We met, and you might have actually taught me about that restaurant. If I recall, I don't know. Or Mel, there was a chicken salad sandwich you loved so much. I think that was it. It's like, you gotta get the chicken salad. Anyway, we had a talk one time, and it was really, we were both really clearly on the same page, which was, if we ever get back together, it has to start with music. It can't start with, you know, a lot of people would approach us and say, hey, you guys want to do a reunion tour with, you know, group A, B, and C, and we'll call it the 90s Live Forever tour, or the 80s Always tour, and we were like, nah. Like, it was always a no. And when Joey and I met, you know, it was very much like, music has to be the way. We have to want to do it again, you know, from a true place, which is the opposite. Not that it wasn't authentic before, it's just I think we probably knew from, you know, the New Kids got so big the first time, and it was got so corporatized, and it was kind of like a runaway train at times. So I don't think we knew exactly how we would do it, but I knew if we did it, it had to start from us, not from an outside entity, you know, saying what it's gonna be. Because we wouldn't have this if it was that. It would be something completely different. So I remember that conversation in about a year. I think I went to a game with you after we talked. I went and saw Jordan in Boston. We had a little talk. We went to a Celtics game, and what if we ever get back together? And Joey and I went to see you in Pittsburgh. I think you were playing a solo show at the Hard Rock or something. And we talked about it, and then kind of put it on the back burner. And just, it was always like, one day this will happen. And yes, then I was in New York. I was filming a movie. I had a day off. I went down to New York, and our music lawyer was like, hey, come by the office and say hi. And I'd always be like, yeah, but I'd never go. And for whatever reason, this time I went. And when I was leaving, he said, listen to this CD. And I was like, okay, sure. And I had no plan on listening to it. I had to drive to Boston from New York, and it was a long drive, and I said, let me put it in. And it was Click, Click, Click. And another song, which we actually recorded before Click, 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 which was never released. But we'll talk about that later. But when something about that song just started being like, this is kind of cool. This is kind of like what the New Kids could sound like now. It honors the past of New Kids. It's not too much of a departure from what we were, but it sounds like who we might be now. And so then, yes, I shared it with Jordan, I think in the limousine. And he really loved Click, Click, Click. You know, I was like, this other song is great too. And he was like, yeah, but this Click, Click, Click this is a vibe. And sent it to Joey. And Joey had mentioned in our earlier meeting, we actually set up a meeting with Jared Paul, our manager, a year before this happened. So it was kind of like that conversation planted the seed that all we needed was the music. And suddenly the music revealed itself. I didn't go searching the world for a song. The song appeared. You know, the universe put it into action. We spoke. The universe started working. A year and a half later, boom, there's the song. I remember the conversation. Let's get to work. In terms of emotionally, same as Danny. You know, it was an interesting time in my life. I was going through a lot of personal changes, and I didn't realize how much getting back with the guys first would be a lifeline for me.
We love you!
I love you too. I don't need to get
I would say we needed each other
For sure.
at that time in our lives.
For sure. You know, that clip, in that clip, Jonathan says, we all moved into Donnie's house. You know, that was the first house I ever lived in alone in my adulthood, you know. I know. We all, listen, I knew I needed you guys, and I knew I needed these guys, but I knew at the first meet and greet that we all needed each other desperately, and it was so wonderful. But those times playing ping pong and being in that house, like, those ping pong games was like, it was just, you know, the work was amazing. We're recording and doing this stuff, but the times we were just spending together again and just, you know, rekindling this bond at a time when we were all, you know, experiencing different things in life. It was just right on time. It was just God's plan, you know, it just all worked out right on time.
How long were you in the house together? I mean, what was the dynamic in there? Was it all creative, or were you like kids again? You know, what was the environment?
It was fun. I remember I had a room on the second floor. And I think John at one time, you were sleeping on the floor on a mattress. I was sleeping on the bed. We both woke up at like noon every day. Donnie had already been out since, you know, 7:30 in the morning or something.
Didn't you have to put like towels on the windows or curtains or
I
something
mean,
like that?
and that would probably make sense, something like that.
Like I said, it was
Both
the
of us
first house
would
I
do.
lived in alone as an adult. It was pretty shitty.
It was great. It was great. And we would just mosey downstairs, and there was a little studio set up in a little room, and we would just wake up and talk and listen to music. And Nasri was a songwriter, would come by with some new songs and stuff. It was cool. It was like the old days. It was like us when we would go to Maurice's house and just hang out, and music would always be in the background and something we loved, but we were still living our lives together, hanging out, playing basketball. But we just replaced it now because we're older. We did ping pong instead. basketball.
Safer.
Yeah, it was safer for us, you know. So it was what we wanted and what we needed, which was an environment to bond, and it came from an organic place rather than a corporate greedy place. Like, let's exploit these guys or to get exploited. It was us doing what we love to do and using our own creative minds and just vibing off each other and kind of fitting back in, into our roles as a group and finding out who we were now. And it's kind of funny. It was like who we were now kind of turned out to be who we were then. It was like we just had to rediscover what we were in the group, and that's kind of what happened. We just fit in, and it was like a lot of people would say, "How is it like? Is it like riding a bike?" And I remember Donnie said, "Yeah, but it's a mountain bike this time." It's a little tougher, but it was like riding a bike. We just we got back together, and it was definitely a little awkward. Like, okay, who am I in this group now? Or where do people stand? And it was like we just had to settle in and just be us. And then when that kind of settled in, it just like the magic started.
You know, you speak to Nasri, but